Either the outer clothes were taken off or something put on over them which could later on be discarded and destroyed. The closet offered a wash bowl and running water, and it was close to the head of the back stairs. Escape had been made later on by those kitchen stairs and the kitchen porch, and the killer could walk away or even be seen, without any trace of blood to betray the grisly secret. Both the police and he had agreed on this theory of his, provided the crime was not an inside one. The purpose of the glove thrown down into the hall had been to indicate an escape in that direction, but for some reason the second glove had been kept. The problem of disposing of it had been solved by placing it in the top of the drain pipe, and the heavy rain that night had washed it down to where I had found it. "The providence of God, Lou," he said gravely. For that glove could only have come from the pipe, and the only access to the pipe was that closet window. There, in that closet, you see, was the story. The inspector and he had come to the parting of the ways, however, over Margaret Lancaster's story, and Helen Wellington's testimony that day as to Sunday night had resulted in a definite schism between them. "That blows it wide open, Dean," the inspector had said, banging a fist on his desk. "I don't care what you think or say. What about that closet anyhow? It's my opinion that it was Margaret who was in it. You've got to go a long way to get some outsider through a locked door into that house, but this woman was there all the time." "Then what does she do?" "She gets that first glove out, by giving it to Lou Hall. She gives Dalton something to burn, and we've only her word as to what it was. And after Emily is shot she switches the barrels of those two guns and keeps it quiet until she misses her father's from his room. That scares her. Maybe that nurse told her we had it. So she cooks up a story and brings it to us. The old man is dead, so she hangs that second killing on him. It's safe, and it's good. I'll say it was good. Only the Wellington woman turns up and knocks it over the fence and out of bounds. Apparently he went even further. He considered it highly probable that Margaret had either employed Holmes to get the trunk, or had known it was to be taken and had found someone else to take it from him. Easy enough these days, was what he said. $1,000 would get 50 fellows to do that job, unless they knew what was in it. Herbert had pointed out the absurdity of that. If Margaret knew where the money was, why steal it? It was hers anyhow. All she had to do was to tell the police that she suspected where Emily had hidden it, and she had it. Not if she'd killed her sister, the inspector said stubbornly. Maybe Emily kept a diary in the trunk, or something to show that she was afraid of her. She may have told Margaret that. For she was afraid. She was scared stiff, and that's a fact. She had more than 3 days after her mother's death to tell the truth, but did she? She did not. Then on Saturday night someone tries to break into her room and she beats it. For where? She gets out of that house, and when the Talbots let her in she says that they are after her. Who are they, Dean? Her own people, that's what. It was all rational enough, although Dean pointed out the device by which the axe had been taken into the house as destroying much of it. It was awkward and inept, he maintained. The axe was not used in the summer, and Margaret could have taken it in at night, any night, without discovery. The very fact that Brian Dalton had seen it in that cautious ascent showed that the method was dangerous in the extreme. But his case, he said, lay largely in the old album, and that, he added, was why he had come out that night. Not that I don't always want to come, light of my life, he said, with something of his usual cheerfulness. But if I'm guessing right, there have been 2 attempts to get the thing, and there is likely to be another. That lets Margaret Lancaster out. She knows those fingerprints are burned. But there is someone who doesn't know it, and who thinks that the album is still here. Then he grinned at me. I've been rechecking the alibis for that Thursday afternoon, he said. About the only one we can check absolutely is your mother's, and there is an old axiom that the more perfect the alibi the more suspicious it is. And how do we know, my love, that you were sitting sewing at your window, as you say you were? Or that Helen was shopping and running up more bills?